Alright, today I'm going to be showing you how to change a rear tire and tube on a Suzuki DRZ-70. First thing you want to do, grab a 17mm wrench, grab a 14mm wrench. I have a 10mm wrench and a 12mm wrench handy. Those are going to be for the chain guides. So loosen up your nut here. Make sure you secure your bike with the back tire in the air. That way you can pull this back tire off. A lot of times you can't get it to sit flat, so it's a little bit of a challenge to break this free sometimes. You just want to make sure you're being careful not to knock that off of there. So loosen this nut up. A lot of times your axle will spin. That's why we have the nut over here. And then once you get it looser, it will continue to spin. So I keep it on there until I can get finger loose there. Take and pull that off. Now we've got our chain guides on either side here. We'll take and slide those off. And then the other side will stay on there. It'll come out with your axle. So next thing, you take your chain. You can work it off of there. At this time, if you can slide your axle all the way forward, your chain will be loose enough then to do that. And then I set that aside so it's not in our way when we go to pull our rear tire off. Now what you're going to do, and you can't see it from over there, I'll move the camera over, but you got to loosen this wing nut here for a brake assembly. We'll loosen this wing nut here all the way. You're going to take this all the way off actually. And there's a lot of times some tension on here. So once you get that completely off of there, you want to make sure that that moves freely, because the next step is going to take both hands. So holding the motorcycle up, take and slide that back a little bit. I try to get it as far back as I can. Take and slide this axle off, and your chain adjuster will come with it there. Now we have the axle out, and see our bike is going to want to tip over. I'm going to take and just drop that wheel down. Now I'm going to have to reposition that bike on the stand there so it doesn't tip over. Okay, the wheel is off there. Now we can take our rear drum here, just pull this out. This is our rear brake panel there. And then be careful of this cam here so you don't knock that out. Now we can take this over to a tire machine or however you're going to change it. I've done several videos on how to change it with spoons, how to change it with a tire machine. So I'm going to swap this out quick, and then I'll be back to put this back on. Together then, stick our brake panel in there and then slide that into position. And then we've got a spacer that'll sit in your rear hub there right by your sprocket. Slide that brake arm in, and then you've got a post right here that's going to slide into that position there. So keep that in mind when you're sliding everything back together there. And as long as your chain stayed up, you probably can't see it from that angle there. As long as your chain stayed in position there, should be able to just slide that into place there and then wrap the chain around later. Double check your spacer before sliding this axle all the way through. And you can slide that axle into place there, into the groove on your swing arm. Now take your chain, spin it on. Spin it on if you need to. Sometimes you can get it, if your chain's loose enough, just put it on there without having to spin it. So take our chain spacer over here, or chain adjuster over here, slide it into position there. We're going to double check these before we completely finish this project. Put our nut on there, and come to this side, put our wing nut on here. Slide that into position where you think it needs to be, then we'll go up and adjust our brake pedal there. Now to adjust our chain, I like to get my axle a little more snugged up than this, and then I feel how much up and down play there is. There's going to be too much on here. I'll move you to the other side. It's going to be a little bit too much, so what I'm going to do, loosen these up. Okay, loosen up the lock nut and your 10mm here. Okay, once you get those separate from each other, now you can take and you want to look at the lines on the swing arm here. They need to match up with your chain adjuster, and they need to be the same on either side. So find a place. We're gonna go, that's 1, 2, almost the third mark, and we need to tighten it up, so we are gonna go to the third mark. So we're gonna go to the third mark there, come over here, do the same thing, go to the third mark there, and that's about where it needs to be right there. Make sure it's shoved all the way forward. Then you can take and snug everything down. I like to snug down my axle and then snug down my lock nuts there on my my chain adjuster. Okay, then we'll make sure it spins freely. We'll double check the tension on the chain there. And then we will tighten up these adjuster nuts and the lock nuts here. And this is just to keep it from working itself forward. So I'll snug up this 10 millimeter lock nut and then do the same on that side. Again, double check your brakes before you get too far down the road. That way you know that your brakes are working properly. Make sure they're engaging when they should be. And you should just be able to press down on there. About 1 inch down, it should engage. So we're moving about 1.5 inches right now. So I'm going to tighten it up and get it to the point where you just press down a little bit and it will engage those rear brakes. So that is the chain adjust on a Suzuki DRZ-70. If you guys have questions or comments, make sure and leave those below. If this video has been helpful, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Appreciate you guys watching. Check out our Patreon account as well as our Instagram. We post a video or 2 a week of general maintenance on motorcycles, anything power sports. So thanks for watching.